In the early morning hours of September 17, 2022, 14-year-old Lyric Woods quietly stuck away from her house and out onto the street. Her parents sleep inside, blissfully unaware of the teenager's secret plans. The next morning, Lyric was not in her bed. She never returned home. By mid-afternoon, ATV drivers on a rural track near the county line made a horrific discovery. 2 teenagers deceased from a barrage of gunfire. They were lying side by side, Lyric Woods and 18-year-old Devin Clark. It wasn't clear how the two knew each other, and neither of them carried a cell phone. But it was the contents of their secret messages that would hold the key to their murders. Though most of the text had been deleted, the pieces of correspondence that remained would reveal a sordid plot and lead investigators to the alleged killer. Just before 3 p.m. on Sunday, September 18, 2022, a pair of ATV drivers in Efland, North Carolina, made a horrific discovery. Just off of Buckhorn Road along the Orange and Alamance County line were 2 bodies, one male and one female. They were lying face up, side by side, their arms outstretched. It was a wooded area off of a power line easement road, not one frequented by regular traffic. Orange County sheriffs found both victims had been struck by multiple gunshots. It was a brutal and unforgiving attack. Locals recalled hearing shots fired in the early morning hours of Saturday the 17th. Lying deceased amongst the brush was 14-year-old Lyric Woods, a freshman at Cedar Ridge High School in Hillsboro. Next to her was 18-year-old Devin Clark, a football and basketball star at Eastern Alamance High School. Both teens had been reported missing that weekend. Their discovery in this horrific scene was the worst possible outcome. 14-year-old Lyric Woods loved to laugh. She enjoyed volleyball and joking around with her friends. She sang and she danced, but most often, Lyric was captured laughing. How Lyric had come to meet and befriend 18-year-old Devin Clark was not clear. A teen athlete from nearby Mabame, he was a senior at Eastern Alamance, where he made a name for himself as a standout wide receiver. Devin was known for more than his athletics. He loved music and hosting rap and studio sessions with friends. He spent a lot of time riding bikes and four-wheelers, an activity that the community gathered to share in his memory in the days following his tragic death. In the wake of the double murder, family and the community were not only overwhelmed with grief, but with anger and confusion. It was not clear how Devin and Lyric came to be together late at night on a rural road. The biggest question, of course, was how they got there and who else had been with them. The scene off of Buckhorn Road offered some indications as to what occurred in the teenagers' final moments. Their injuries and positioning would prove crucial to piecing together how the murders occurred. There were a total of 13 shell casings located, distributed in 3 distinct areas. These matched the number of gunshot wounds sustained by the teenagers. Lyric had been struck 7 times, 2 to the front of her body, in the left arm and then in the shoulder, as though she was actively turning her back to the direction of fire. She was shot in the back, and then twice more at close range. Devin's injuries showed a similar pattern, to the front in his right shoulder, then in the back. He was struck 6 times in total. There were 3 casings in the first grouping, which investigators deduced could have been from the initial gunshots fired while the shooter faced the victims. The second grouping of 5 casings were located on the pathway. These were perhaps fired in pursuit. Devin and Lyric were almost certainly running for their lives. The final 4 casings were found near Lyric and Devin. Final shots fired by the killer after both teens were no longer fleeing. Witnesses to the gunshots reported that they were fired over 2 periods of time, roughly 10 minutes apart. They heard 8 to 10 at first, then an extended break, followed by roughly 3 to 5 more. These recollections aligned with the physical evidence, as well as the theory that an initial attack near the first group of casings led to a chase, then later, the final, perhaps gratuitous, 4 shots. Though they were found side by side, there were signs that Devin had been moved to rest next to Lyric. His pants were pulled down his thighs, and dirt was visible on his chest and the front of his legs, as though he had been dragged to the position where he was found before being turned over. No murder weapon was found. Devin Clark's father, Dexter, reported his son missing on the morning of Sunday, September 18th, just hours before he was found dead. The 18-year-old lived at home but was increasingly independent. His father assumed at first that he was with friends, though as Saturday turned to Sunday without any word from him, and his friends also unable to locate him, the report was made. That was not the only report that Dexter made. His 9mm Canic handgun, gray and green in color, was also missing, along with approximately 23 rounds of Remington 9mm ammunition. Investigators found these to be a match to the casings found at the scene. It seems that Devin had stolen the gun that would later kill him. The young athlete's cell phone, along with his other personal items and the backpack that he usually carried, were also missing. Data from his devices, however, was retrieved via his provider, Verizon Wireless. Much of his communication took place over Snapchat, the app that automatically deletes message history unless the user expressly chooses to save it. For this reason, only portions of his correspondence was retrieved. Nonetheless, it was enough to piece together his plans for the late-night hours into the early morning on the night he died. One message that was perhaps crucial to the case was sent by Devin to a group chat of 11 of his friends just past 12 a.m. It read, "Who on wheels and want free buns?" Free buns was slang for sleeping with a woman. Devin was reaching out to any friend with a car to give him a ride. In exchange, he was offering an encounter with a female. Devin's proposal was made explicitly clear in his exchange with a user named judicial that took place between 11 p.m. and 1:05 a.m. that night. At 11:05, Devin wrote, "You trying to get tonight?" The response from judicial, "By who?" LMAO, that lyric. She says she, both of us. Wait, what? You're telling me she don't got no friend or nothing? LMAO, that's what I asked. She was like, not with none of them. She wanted me to come, but I'm not on wheels. Since she wanna me so bad, whoever I'm with too. Judicial responded that he was out of gas in his car. Then there was a 2-hour break in which no messages were retrieved. The two of them may have reached an understanding, however, because at 1:05 a.m., Devin sent 2 laughing emojis. No further messages were retrieved between the two that night. Lyric's parents kept her cell phone from her at night. It was still in their possession when they reported her missing on Saturday morning. It seems, however, that Lyric had access to an iPad and was actively communicating on it until almost 1:30 a.m. on the night she went missing. Investigators were able to pull pieces of a Snapchat conversation that she held with an account named Basketball1296, later verified as Devin Clark. What was found revealed a young teen plotting to sneak out of the house. She arranged to be picked up nearby, undetected. Beginning at 1:21 a.m., she sent Devin her address, followed by a screenshot of where to drive with the area circled. 1 minute later, she wrote, "Park there, like on the side." Then instructions to not be seen. "Cut lights when you get there till I get in the car." That was the final message sent by Lyric that investigators were able to access. There was no indication in any of Lyric's correspondence that she agreed to the offer Devin Clark made to his friend in exchange for a ride. There was no evidence that it was even discussed. Nonetheless, it seems that Devin's offer managed to secure his wheels, and that Lyric did indeed get picked up in someone's car that night. A particularly heart-wrenching post from Devin's mother, Tiffany Conception, caught the attention of one such individual. The informant's name was Christian Sykes. He did not know Lyric Woods or Devin Clark, but he did have a friend who he claimed told him a story that sounded awfully similar to their murders.
I guess we just start from the beginning. I'll let you talk a little bit.
Okay, so everything that I know basically is, so I met the boy Issiah. I don't know his last name, but I have his Snapchat name, and that's usually how we converse. I gave the other officer his phone number because I do have his phone number.
Christian met Issiah through his cousin roughly 6 months earlier. He did not know the 17-year-old very well, though he admitted to having physical relations with him on at least 2 occasions. Usually, they would just meet and smoke together. On a Snapchat video call, Christian said that Issiah showed him a gun. Then, he began telling him a crazy story.
What I was like, what happened? And then he showed me like a gun. And I was like,
Okay, go ahead.
and he showed me like a gun, and I was like, you got a gun? Okay, like, what does that mean? And then he was like, well, I picked up this dude. He didn't give me no names. He just said he picked up a dude, and when he picked him up, he was going to pick up a girl, and then he was taking them to go, I guess, have sex. So he was like, but I capped him, and I was like, what you mean? And he was like, well, the dude was holding the beam on me, and I'm assuming he meant like the gun had like a laser type of thing on it. But he was like, he was pointing it at him. He was like, I don't like that. And I told him to stop, and I told him multiple times to stop, but he kept doing it. And he said the gun had bullets in it. So then he said he grabbed the gun and it was wrestling with the gun. And then I'm assuming Devin was like had his finger and he pulled the trigger, and he said that the bullet went like near his legs, like that way. He said in between his legs, but that's what he said. And then he said that he like got the gun from him, and then he said he shot him. And then he said that the white girl, well, he didn't say white girl, but he said the girl that was in the back seat, he said she saw everything, so I turned around and I shot her. Now, this is Sunday.
Christian told the detective that he did not initially believe any of Issiah's statements. It was too far-fetched and was being told without emotion, making it less believable. It was not until the news of the murders began to circulate widely on social media that Christian made the connection.
Okay, so it's showing that he emptied the clip.
Basically.
Okay.
Like, and it was crazy because it was like no remorse, which was why it was, because I've never like looked at him as like a person that's like, in my eyes, that's like evil. If you could murder two people like that and then show no emotion, that's why I was thinking the story was just something that he came up with, because you're not showing no emotion, you're laughing on a video call, like.
The 17-year-old who allegedly confessed to Christian, Issiah Ross, had relocated from Delaware to North Carolina in 2021 during his sophomore year to live with his mother and 3 younger siblings. He attended Eastern Al Men's High School in Mabane, the same school as Devin Clark, though records show he was only enrolled for 6 days at the start of the school year. Family knew him as a soft-spoken, loving son and an otherwise happy teenager who enjoyed basketball, music, and new tech. Issiah had been known to get into trouble, however.
No cap though. Let me show y'all. Gave me 5 charges.
After Christian came forward, Issiah's cell phone data was also extracted. Investigators found that on the night of the murders, he traveled from his home to Devin's. From there, they collected the lyric and drove out to Buckhorn Road. Issiah and Devin's devices moved together towards the crime scene between 1:45 and 2:14 a.m. From the crime scene, Issiah appeared to travel to a nearby gas station. Driving his mother's white GMC Sierra, Issiah was captured by surveillance cameras at the Petro gas station in Mabane, located 2 miles from the scene at about 2:20 a.m. He was alone. Issiah was captured leaving the vehicle and walking towards the store. He was wearing a printed jacket over a black short-sipped hoodie, the end of his hair dyed blonde. After, he returned to the Sierra and drove off, back in the direction of Buckhorn Road. His cell phone tracked him returning to the crime scene, before going back home. In the days following the murders, Issiah had an argument with his mother over damage to the fender of her white GMC Sierra, and he was kicked out of the house. With the help of his stepfather, a man named Antoine Bryant, he acquired a bus ticket and left for Delaware. Antoine, who also happened to be cousins with Devin Clark, found out later that he unwittingly assisted his stepson elude authorities by fleeing out of state. Due to laws in North Carolina restricting the release of information relating to minors, Issiah's identity was not released, even after he was petitioned on 2 murder charges and could not be found. He was eventually arrested on October 2nd in Delaware and formally indicted the following day on 2 counts of first-degree murder. The 17-year-old would be tried as an adult. Issiah pleaded not guilty by reason of self-defense. He planned to argue that Devin Clark shot and killed Lyric Woods, not him. After he witnessed the murder, Devin turned the gun on him. A struggle ensued, and only in fear of his own life did he shoot and kill Devin. Unconvinced of this version of events, Prosecutors continued to pursue 2 counts of first-degree murder, though on the eve of the trial, in January 2026, they made Issiah an offer, a reduction in the charges to second-degree murder on both counts. If he accepted the plea deal, Issiah would receive 20 to 25 years for each murder. If convicted by a jury, he faced life in prison for both murders. He rejected the offer immediately and outright. There was no further discussion. Issiah Ross wanted his day in court. Dexter Clark explained that both his son and his firearm went missing at the same time. He had stored the handgun in a locked box under his bed. Lyric's and Devin's parents were not the only ones directly impacted by the teenager's brutal murders. Issiah Ross's mother attended the trial, supporting her son who stood accused of committing these horrific crimes. Taking to social media, she offered commentary on the trial, criticizing, in her own way, the state's case against her son, and, at times, directly mocking and insulting those who testified against him.
I mean, damn, I said sorry to, Devin's mom and her little ugly ass ragamuffin looking ass bitches came like, ugh. But this country boy mother therapy, so that's what we do, country boy therapy.
As the trial progressed, Issiah Ross and his vocal mother were offered more material to critique. Issiah's alleged confession was a key piece of evidence for the prosecution. Their key witness, however, Christian Sykes, proved a challenge for their case. He recounted what he remembered from the Snapchat conversation in which Issiah allegedly confessed to killing both Devin and Lyric.
And Mr. Sykes, do you know Issiah Ross?
Yes.
How do you know him?
We were cool once upon a time.
Cool, did you say?
Yeah.
What Issiah told you?
Yeah.
And what did he tell you?
That you want me to tell the whole story?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, he told me that he was going to hang out, that he hung out with somebody and they were going to, do you want me to say it all? Like, okay.
It's been said before, probably.
All right. Well, he said that they were going to, that they went to on a white girl. When they got there, they were hanging out and stuff, and somehow or another, the other boy had a gun and he was like playing with the beam and pointing it on him, and he told him to stop, and he did it again and he told him to stop, and he said the third time he went for the gun. They wrestled for the gun, and I don't remember exactly if he said the gun went off, but I do know he said that he shot them and dumped the bodies. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it.
4 years had passed since the weekend of the murders and the potential confession. That may account for some discrepancies in the details Christian offered on the stand to jurors. He testified confidently to some aspects, however, that were demonstrably false. Whether he had been lied to or misremembered details offered by Issiah was a question for the jurors. The first and most significant error was the location where the shooting occurred.
Did he give you any indication of where they were when this happened? In the car.
He did say Efland. I do remember that, but just in the car. I really wasn't trying to ask too many questions because honestly and truthfully, I didn't believe it. It just sounded crazy.
There was no indication, blood spatter, DNA, casings, or other forensic clues that Issiah, or either Devin or Lyric, had been inside the car when the shots were fired. Indeed, there was ample physical evidence suggesting a sequence of events that unfolded near the brush and along the pathway. In addition to these inconsistencies, he recalled the handgun that had been in Issiah's possession while on the video call was black, not gray and green, as Dexter Clark had described it.
Another thing that you testified to was that you saw the firearm and that it was black. Do you recall that?
I saw a firearm that was black on video. I don't know if it was that one because I was not there.
Okay. Thank you. So you saw a firearm and it was black.
Yes.
His recollection of Issiah's mother's white GMC Terrain, which her son drove that night, was also confused.
You said that the vehicle that his mom had was black. Do you recall hearing that?
Yeah.
Okay, and you remember kind of seeing her car there and...
Not there. I just remember seeing her pick him up and her car was black. Most people don't. They have one car. So.
Okay. And was the idea that this event took place in a car, was that actually said, or was that also alluded to?
Well, if he said he shot somebody and then turns around and shoots somebody, you can't turn around unless you're in a car, right? That's just what I'm assuming.
Talk about I only know his mom to have a black truck. Bitch, I ain't never owned a black truck in my life. You suck another.
Defense called just one witness, Issiah Ross. The 21-year-old told jurors that before the night of September 16th, he had never met or spoken with Lyric Woods. When he accepted Devin's arrangement to go out that night, it was under the assumption that she would be with a friend. Only after Devin was in the car giving him directions did he sort out what his friend's plans actually were.
That's when he asked me if I minded if he went first. And so it's kind of where I really got the idea that there was only one person that we were going to pick up. I entered into the situation thinking we were going to go like pick up one person and then another person, but that confirmed that it was just one person.
He explained that when they arrived at Buckhorn Road, Devin and Lyric spent a few minutes together in the back seat. DNA testing later confirmed that some intimate activity had likely taken place. Issiah claimed he spent this time outside of the car with Devin's vape pen. When the two emerged from the back seat, Issiah said they were arguing. Lyric was yelling that she would not be controlled or passed around by Devin.
Can you explain to me what you heard or what you remember you heard when Lyric and Devin got out the car?
She was yelling at Devin, saying that I can't say word for word, but that I remember she saying she wasn't a whore, and she wasn't gonna let him pimp her around anymore, and that she was gonna get police involved.
Okay. And how did Devin respond?
He retrieved the gun out of the car and then shot her with it.
Standing at an easel, Issiah outlined his version of events with the assistance of a sketched diagram. He showed jurors where he claimed Devin and Lyric emerged from the back seat, and the direction that Lyric ran when Devin fired at her. Issiah claimed that after Devin had killed Lyric, he turned the gun on him and stated, "You know what time it is." Issiah took this to mean that he was next. So he lunged at Devin, and they struggled over the gun. Shots were fired. Though Issiah was the smaller of the two teens and less athletic, he was able to overpower Devin by striking him, at one point employing a headbutt, then pushing his shoulder back while he reached for the gun.
I remember being hit somewhere in this area, like a punch.
Now, if you're pointing to an area, that would be what part of your body? Which shoulder? Right shoulder. All right, so what happens next?
When the encounter was over, Issiah testified that he panicked. He used both a jacket and his black zip-up hoodie to drag Devin off of the road where the car would not hit him. Issiah said that he did not turn him over at any point. Because the gas tank was on empty, he stopped at the petrol station, then returned to the scene of the shooting to collect his black hoodie, which had been left behind in error.
I had trouble finding it, but I had left my Under Armour hoodie there. Well, not really a hoodie, it was a quarter zip, but I had left it there and I was just going back to grab it. It just, honestly, if I were to describe it, it just felt like my brain was literally like melting. I didn't know what to do. I was afraid. Honestly, I just wanted to go home, and seemed like the answer to all of my problems at the time. So I just went home.
There were a few small gaps in Issiah's story. In his version of the shootings, the first set of shots heard by witnesses were attributed to Devin firing at Lyric. His subsequent struggle with Devin over the gun did not seem to account for a 10-minute span of time before the second shots were heard. Indeed, that interaction seemed to have unraveled very quickly. The prosecution also asserted that the black hoodie Issiah claimed to have returned to the scene to retrieve was the same one he was captured wearing on the gas station surveillance. It was clear that he drove back to the crime scene after that stop, so it must have been for another reason. He testified that he moved Devin but never turned him over, which was counter to the evidence of dirt over his chest and legs. Issiah's version also did not account for the location of the vape pen. He told jurors that Devin gave this to him before he stepped out of the car, yet it was found with Devin in his front pocket 2 days later. Sometime between Devin exiting the back seat, arguing with Lyric, and then fighting with Issiah, the vape must have been returned to him. If Issiah's testimony did not provide an explanation for everything, it certainly tried. He made uncomfortable allegations about the state's key witness, Christian Sykes, in an effort to demean his character and imply a motive to lie or embellish about Issiah to police. Issiah claimed to have witnessed Christian perform an inappropriate act on his cousin. After he reacted poorly to what he witnessed, he alleged that Christian was desperate to ensure that he would keep quiet about it. During Issiah's testimony, his mother had a few comments to make about Christian Sykes. Issiah admitted to speaking with Christian about the events on Buckhorn Road, though he claimed not to remember the details that he shared. The trauma was still fresh in his mind, and so anything he said about it would have been emotionally charged, confused, and likely inaccurate or easily misunderstood. Presumably, in the 4 years since, he had gained both clarity and perspective. The jury deliberated for 6 hours over 2 days before the court was closed due to an ice storm. When they resumed, jurors deliberated for another full day before notifying the judge that they were deadlocked 8-4 on one count, only 4 seeking to convict. The judge compelled them to continue trying. They did so for another 4 hours before returning. The judge accepted the foreman's assessment. They would be unable to reach a decision on Lyric Wood's murder. A mistrial was declared on that count.
We, the jury, unanimously found the defendant, Issiah Ross, to be guilty of second-degree murder of Devin Clark.
Issiah Ross was given a sentence consistent with his conviction of a single count of second-degree murder, 20 to 25 years in prison. It seems that despite the horror of the entire ordeal, his mother at least viewed the verdict and sentencing as a victory. She took to social media shortly after the trial in a live video that has since received a considerable amount of negative attention for obvious reasons.
You thought you was gonna win because of your skin color, because of this, because of this, because of title. But you know what? The black people actually won. You tried to keep Devin's mom from defining her son's body. They had to do all this extra shit just based off the motherfucking clothing that they had on. They was the ones to stand up and read their notes. They was the ones to stand up and read their notes. Not y'all white mother. You're trying to play. Cause y'all got this. Y'all got this and power. No, I'm glad the black people won. Boop, boop, boop. I'm glad the black people won. We won. Y'all lost. Y'all lost. Y'all lost.
Lyric Wood's family left the courthouse confused and devastated. Prosecutors have kept the case open with an administrative hearing to discuss next steps scheduled for March 2026. They have not stated whether they intend to retry the case, offer a plea deal, or drop the charges. The jury's decision has baffled many. 4 jurors were willing to convict Issiah Ross for the first-degree murder of Lyric Woods. These same 4 jurors presumably agreed to only a second-degree conviction for Devin Clark's murder, rejecting the argument that he was killed in self-defense. yet also rejecting that the many shots fired constituted premeditation and therefore a conviction in the first degree. It is difficult to deduce what combination of logic led to the split verdict. Lyric's mother is keeping her memory alive by covering the family home in photos of her during happier times, the way she was in life, joyful, smiling, and laughing.